Hello and welcome. My name is Andrew, and this is the Who Dat Discussion, a New Orleans Saints podcast where we talk about all New Orleans Saints news, opinions, and reactions. So, as I said, my name's Andrew, and first I want to say thank you to all the fans who followed this podcast at the Who Dat Discussion on Twitter, and everyone who watched the first episode. The first episode really exceeded my expectations. I thought we were only going to get like 10 views, and then we got over 175 views on YouTube and over 75 views on Podomatic. So, just really very excited that I got, exceeded my expectations, and that I've got a warm welcome from the Kudat Nation. So, now that I am on YouTube, if you like this podcast, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment with all your Saints questions. Also, if you'd be kind, you can press the notification bell so you get updated when we post a video. So, now we got all that out of the way, let's get to some Saints news. So, as we approach training camp, we have some news for you. First, Jameis Winston, a quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a Saints rival, is expected to be suspended for around 3 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. So this is huge for the Saints, as, we played in the first game of the season, and to have Fitzpatrick in there instead of Winston, is going to be, a huge help to us to get off to a good start and win that first game. I mean, we haven't won our first game of the season since 2013, where we beat the Falcons, also in the Dome. I mean, I remember that game. I remember Kenny Vaccaro had the game-winning deflection in the end zone. So, I feel like that this loss for the Tampa Bay is really huge for our division rivals. And to me, I don't think they're going to get out of that if he misses 3 games. Their first 3 games are the Saints, the Eagles, and Pittsburgh. That can easily be 0-3. That could be 0-3 with Winston. So, without Winston, to me, that's going to slot them in at 0-3 probably. And, to start 0-3 is really hard, puts you in a huge hole, and that I don't think they could come out of. So, to me, this puts, the Buccaneers out of the division race already this early in the season. And, especially, he's going to be missing the Saints game. This is going to give us, hopefully, an easier victory. And, hopefully we'll crush them, and, our first couple games of the schedule are pretty easy. We have, Tampa Bay, the Browns, the Falcons, which will be a hard one, and then the Giants. So, first 3 out of 4 games are, relatively easy, and we should get 3 wins at least. And I think we can get a 4th one against the Falcons. So to me, those, first 4 games for us will be, games that we should be able to get wins in. So, I mean, just, this is, to me, it's a little sad that Winston really has a lot of trouble off the field. He's a great talent. He's a great arm. He's a cannon. And to me, if he can ever, get his off-the-field issues, flattened out, to me, he could be a really good quarterback in this league. But I just know Tampa Bay fans are kind of done with him and done with his antics, and they, some want to move on to him, from him, excuse me. So on to our next topic is that Drew Brees slotted in at number 8 in the NFL Network's top 100 players. So this was voted by the players, and it shows he's extremely respected by his peers and other players in the league. He rounds out the Saints in the top 100. We also had Alvin Kamara at 20, Cam Jordan at 26, Mark Ingram at 43, Marshawn Lattimore at 81, and Michael Thomas at 82. So he was also the 3rd ranked quarterback by this. Only Carson Wentz and Tom Brady were ranked higher, and lower rather. And I think this shows that, he's top 3 QB in this league by, the peers. That's what they think. To me, he's better than Wentz, but, whatever, it is what it is. But I don't really want to get to that argument right now. But Brees has just been, I feel like some fans that are not from New Orleans, they kind of take him for granted and see that, he just throws up, touchdowns and yards just because he's in a dome, he isn't playing in the weather. And I just feel that's completely wrong. And, you just look at his stats here. Last year's stats, he had over 4,000 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and, 72% completion percentage, which was the best of all time. In his career stats, he has over 70,000 passing yards, 488 touchdowns, 228 picks, and a 66.9 completion percentage, excuse me. And, I feel like this just shows that he's our guy, he's our captain, he's our, franchise leader. Before this, he wasn't even like, he turned this whole franchise around, So I feel like, him slotting him in the top 10 of the NFL, to me, it just gives him extreme amount of respect, and it shows that, people, that they see what he's doing here in New Orleans, and that, he's been a really great player for this franchise and the league. So he's done both. And this kind of transitions into our third part of Saints News, as that Good Morning Football debated if Breeze is the most underappreciated player in the league or not. Most said that he wasn't, just saying that Reggie Bush had some nice things to say why he wasn't. But, I feel like, as I said before, as of fans that are not from, New Orleans, that are not Saints fans, people, they really take him for granted. They think that he's just, he's all right. He's definitely not as good as Brady. He's not as good as Wentz. He's not as good as Rodgers. There's some fans, Giants fans in New York that think that Eli Manning's better than him. So, you just, see that some people, take him for granted and don't really respect what the numbers he's put up. And he also has a ring. It's not like he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. And to me, I feel like he has a good chance of getting the second one, and more on that later. But, it's just that people, don't respect him and don't appreciate him enough. To me, is a little sad. And, we're going to look back on all the yards he put up and all the touchdowns and hopefully rings to show that, he's top 5, quarterback not only of his generation, but maybe of all time. And he really turned a franchise around. So, doing all that, that you just see, you look at some of these seasons, he broke the, the passing yards record, broke the, consecutive touchdowns in a game record, completion percentage record. So he has all these records. So, he's really one of the best, the best quarterback I've ever seen. It's him and Brady really going back and forth. And, to really see, I feel he feels like the people underappreciated. To me, they just don't respect his greatness and, what kind of QB he is, and how, you'll probably never see a QB like him again. So, we're going to change gears a little bit in our next set of news to the defense. And ESPN's FPI rankings ranked the Saints defense dead last, 32, in their rankings for next season. They basically think the Saints had a lucky season, and then that, they're going to be extremely, worse coming into this year. And to me, they just couldn't be any more wrong. You just look at it. I don't think they see that we have so much young developing talent. We have 10 primary Saints defenders are 25 or younger. And, we have the defensive rookie of the year. We have, 2 rookies with 5 interceptions. We have great coaching, Dennis Allen and Ryan Nielsen, Aaron Glenn, and those boys. They're just, they're developing talent. Everyone's getting better. I feel like all we did was add. So how are we going to get worse? To me, this is a top 15 defense. And if we're top 15, and our offense is always going to be top 3, as it always been, if Breeze is healthy and everyone stays healthy. This team's going to go 13-3. I just don't see how they're going to lose a lot. We don't really have real holes. And to say that we're the worst, you're going to say all these defenses that are worse than us. I just don't see it. Lattimore, he locks up one side of the field. Ken Crawley's getting better. Marcus Williams, he had 5 picks last season, and he only looks like he's going to get better. Cam Jordan is just money from defensive line. You have to double team him almost every play. He's to me, he's one of the most underrated players in all of football. Opposite him, I feel like Marcus Davenport's going to be an amazing player. They have Alex Okafor there. So to rank us dead last, to me, is extremely disrespectful. And, they're going to, they keep on sleeping on us because we're going to be a really good team this year. So kind of staying on the defense, we're going to go into our main topic, which is the position breakdown for next year. And we're going to do linebackers started off. So basically, every week, I feel like we're going to do a main topic. We're going to switch between a top 5 and position breakdown to start off this podcast. And, and then once game starts, we'll probably phase out of having these until the next off season. But let's start with linebacker. To me, it's a pretty controversial one. So first, we'll just look at the depth chart for linebacker. So first, on the weak side, we got Alex Anzalone and Craig Robertson. In the middle linebacker position, we have Demario Davis, Manti Te'o. And on the strong side, we have A.J. Klein and Nate Stupar. And I just want to add the edge rusher, Ho'ohuli Kikaha, because he is also listed as a linebacker. So now let's talk about the additions and subtractions. So additions, we added Demario Davis. And I'll talk about Demario Davis right now for a minute. To me, he's going to be a huge, factor because he's going to stabilize, this defense and this linebacking core because, he's always plays, he plays 16 games basically every year in his career. I think all but one. And he played 15 that year, so it's not like he had, didn't play half the season. He makes a sure tackler. He had 135 tackles last year. He, always makes the right play. He's a great leader off the field and on the field, especially for a young defense like we have. It's great to have a leader. He's going to be a shot caller for our defense, to me, so he can do all that. He'll probably be a captain when it all comes set and down. And to me, he could be the reason that our linebacking core is very, very good. So on to subtractions. We lost 2 special teamers, Brian Barry and Adam Bighill and Michael Monty. Both are still free agents, and I could see them, coming back and being, if depth pieces, especially if we have a couple injuries like we did last year. So really, I feel like if we're healthy, I feel like we're going to be an extremely good linebacking core. We have Alex Anzalone, who's fast. He's great moving laterally, side to side, sideline to sideline. You have Demario Davis, who we just talked about, and AJ Klein, who to me was also really good at shooting the gaps. He was a sure tackler as well. He played great for the first 10 games. So until he got hurt against the Falcons on that Thursday night game. So, those 3 guys to me, that can create a really solid linebacking core, especially when, our back and our front parts of our defense, defensive line and secondary are very, very good. And that'll probably help them out a little bit. But still, these 3 guys to me are, very talented and can make this defense, an overall really good defense and really one that has no holes. But, the big problem is that a lot of these guys got hurt. Anzalone got hurt last year. Klein got hurt last year. Stupar got hurt as a backup last year. Manti Te'o has had injury issues in the past. And Hioli Kikaha, has gotten injured basically every year when he's been on the Saints. So, if everyone's hurt, it's probably going to be our biggest Achilles heel for this team. But it could also be the reason that we're successful if everyone's healthy. The key is for this core is to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be a reason we're a really, really good team. And probably one of the main reasons that our defense is playing great. If they're not healthy, it's probably one of the main reasons why our defense is not as good. But, maybe it'll be top 20 instead of top 10 or whatever it is. But, if everyone plays well, it's going to be a consistent team. And this is really going to make a complete team. Because this is really our only hole. You want to look at it. Alex Anzalone, he only had 16 tackles rather, but he had a couple really good games when he played, but he was hurt. So, it's tough to really look how good he's going to be. Demario Davis, he played the whole season, 135 tackles. He had multiple, over 10 tackle games, which is huge. He definitely makes an impact on and off the field. You look at AJ Klein, who made, I believe, 55 tackles, and a forced fumble. And he did last year while he played, but he also got hurt, wasn't there for the playoffs. So with all of that put together, it's kind of a question coming in. But if they're healthy, to me, they're really good. You have a couple of proven players, but you just look at the backups to me. Craig Robertson, as much as I love him, he's a sure tackler, but he's slow. And he got beat a lot. You look in the playoff game against Carolina, he got beat by McCaffrey really bad. His ankles got broke, So him coming, him really backing up, he's a good backup. Definitely not a good starter, So I don't know. But he's just not fast enough. Anzalone would be a huge step up because he's so much faster. He would be able to stick with McCaffrey if McCaffrey never would have went, 50, 60 yards to the house like he did that in that game. So, to me, that's about Craig Robertson. Manti Te'o, to me, he was really good last year, I gotta say. He was a difference on some plays. He shot the gaps really, really well, and it really showed a huge difference in his defense from years in the past. He knew what he was doing, and to me, he's a really good depth piece. And Stupar also got hurt last year towards ACL. So, between those things, it's really tough to judge where this linebacking core is going to go. I really hope that they stay healthy, and then they're going to be a really important piece to this team. If they're not healthy, they're probably going to be a big reason, maybe what we're looking for at the deadline or, why we didn't go all the way. Could be a reason. So I think our final consensus is, if healthy, it could be a huge reason that we go back to the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. But if they're not healthy, they could be the biggest Achilles heel to not only this defense, but this team. So now that we broke down that position, we're going to go on to some Saints fans questions. So this week we got 4 great questions by Saints fan Zod109 on Twitter. So her first question was, do you think that Boom and Zoom, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, will have as great as a year as they did last year? So I did some research on this, how, good they were last year, which, I mean, I can't, you knew, but now coming into next year, really, how are they going to get better, and where can they get better, to really become elite? So, to me, Kamara, I feel like, he can really get better on finding, spaces to run through and become explosive. Last year, especially in the playoff game where they started stacking the box, he kind of picked the wrong holes to run through. I remember the big one was the third down. I believe it was like a 3rd down and 3 that he got stopped on right before we kicked the field goal to give it back to the Vikings, and he got stopped on that play, and he missed the hole. Like, he could have had an easy 1st down, but he missed it. So, if he gets better on that, to me, and I think he did. In minicamp, I saw him run, through holes. I mean, granted, it was out pads and everything, but it looked like his vision was much better, and I think that, he's so slippery. Guys miss tackle on him every week, multiple times, and you just see, look at the highlights in the Rams game, the highlights in, Panthers games, highlights in, every game. He has, highlight reel plays, and it's because he's extremely talented. To me, he's going to become a top 5 running back this year, if he was not last year. To me, he was on Ingram's level last year, or maybe a little below. This year, I think he's going to be much better than Ingram. And I think that really transitions well to Ingram. Ingram, he had a career year last year. He had, over 1,000 yards rushing. He had 12 touchdowns. He had 58 receptions, 416 yards. And, it was really a revitalization, And for him, I feel like, he would have been great this year coming in, but the suspension. And, the suspension to me could be a huge factor. We looked at last year with Willie Snead, it was a huge factor. So I could see if he comes back ready to go, to me, he's going to come up right off the suspension and be great. If he comes, after that 4-game gap, he gets a little out of shape. He gets maybe a little slower, adds a little more fat. He gets injured maybe right after, just like Snead did, and he kind of gets out of the rotation. You can see him not have as good as a year. But to me, I just don't see that. Mark Ingram, he seems like a great guy, a great worker, and seems like he's really determined to get this suspension behind him, especially it's a contract year for him, so he's going to have to really work hard to keep himself in shape. So he's great coming in game 5. So I think that they're going to be, I think they're going to beat their own records they did last year, coming, of the all-purpose yards and stuff like that. To me, these two guys are just, were the most complete backfield in the whole league by far, and there's no one even close to them. So, I mean, to me, I think they're going to be better. To answer the question, they're going to have as great or a better year than they did last year. So on to her second question is, what do you think our chances at not only winning the NFC South, but winning the Super Bowl? So I'll start off with the NFC South. So I think we got a good chance to win the NFC South division and repeat as champions. To me, all the teams got worse, and then we got better. Or at least the other teams, they improved on the wrong things. So, I mean, first, to me, Tampa Bay got better this offseason, but then they lost Winston for the first 3 games, and they're going to start 0-3. I really like what they did with, JPP, but I just think it's going to be too late. They added help onto the defense. They added some help to Winston when he's healthy on the offense, but I just don't see them getting out of a 0-3 hole, because I feel like that's what they're going to have. You come out to the start of the season, Philly, Saints, Pittsburgh, that's going to be probably 3 losses. I mean, not every win is guaranteed, but if they start 0-3, that means even get to 10-6, you got to play 10-3 ball the rest of the year. So that's really going to be tough. That's really tough. And then, you look at Carolina, to me, with their ownership, they're really in shambles. They lost Star Lotulelei, Jonathan Stewart, Andrew Norwell, among others. They did add Dontari Poe from the Falcons, which we'll get on a little later. But to me, I just don't really think, their offense is not really that good. To me, they don't have that many playmakers besides McCaffrey and, Cam. And, if really looking at it, to me, I don't think they're going to go 11-5 like they did last year. I think they're going to be around 9-7, 8-8. And then Atlanta, to me, I'd compare them to the last year Giants team in that offseason. So the Giants, if you're not familiar, in that offseason, they added wide receivers when they already had OBJ, and they had a glaring problem on offensive line, and they didn't fill it. To me, this is the same thing what the Falcons are doing. They had a glaring problem, on defense, and they lost Poe, and they didn't fill it. They drafted a wide receiver, Calvin Ridley, and that's just not the right decision. You see this wide receiver who's, he could be good in the league. To me, I think he's bust potential, but you can see that they just filled the wrong holes this offseason. And to me, I'm not surprised like the Giants, if they go 3-13, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 13-3 either because they have insane talent on the offense. But, to me, if you want a team that I think is going to really free fall from their last year, I could see the Falcons being that team. And then us, I feel like we got better at all spots. We didn't hit on the big free agent, but, last year we didn't either, and every other player seemed to work out. So to me, I don't really see that being a big problem. To me, I think we patched up little holes, and that's really going to help us in the long run. Hopefully the players that we got are going to be amazing, just like last year. And we made our big, blockbuster play in the draft, and to me, I think that's really going to work out with Davenport. To me, I could see him having, a 7-8 sack season here, because I just love his physical intangibles, and I feel like with our coaching, he's going to be a top defensive end in years to come. And then the Super Bowl, obviously, it's much harder to win. It's not 4 teams, it's 32 teams, but I think we got a good shot, coming out of the NFC. I mean, you look at some NFC teams, it's going to be the Eagles, Rams, Packers, Vikings, and then the teams out of the NFC East, the Cowboys. I can see the Giants being better again. So, and obviously the Eagles. I think we said that earlier. So, to me, this is a really tough NFC. But I feel like if we win our division, we have a couple home playoff games, maybe have home field advantage. I feel like we're going to be right there in the NFC divisional game like last year, and then better in the NFC Championship, and then the Super Bowl ultimately. And then in the Super Bowl, we would obviously have to play either the Patriots or the Steelers because, not many other teams are very good in that conference. I mean, the Jaguars also, they were a surprise team last year. I really like what they're doing down there. So those 3 teams, I feel like we can beat all 3 of those teams. The Patriots, they're obviously an amazing team. But I feel like, to beat them for one game, I feel like we really have a good shot. Breeze, even if we need a shootout, Breeze will get that shootout. And then you're looking at other Steelers, I think we're just a better version of the Steelers, actually. And then, the Jaguars, it's really like strength on strength, and I feel like we're just, a better overall team and have better physicality than them. So, I mean, if you're looking at it, I really feel like we're going to have a good shot. You can definitely make a case that we can definitely get Brees the second ring, and win the Super Bowl. So, and on to her third and fourth questions. They're kind of put together, so I'll just read both together. So, she said, so in 2009, we broke the record for the loudest stadium. And this past year, my uncle went to a game in the Dome, and he came back and said his ears hurt because it was so loud. So, do you think this season we were able to have the amount of Dome field advantage like we did in 2009? Also, do you think we were able to break the record for the loudest stadium again? So, the highest we ever got was 123 decibels. Just to, put that in there. For indoor stadiums, because outdoor stadiums, they just get louder. So I'm just going to do indoor stadiums. So now the record's 130. So, I think we were like 125 now after last year. I think we, tried to beat it as the Who Dat Nation, and we came a little short, but I think we could definitely, I was just looking at times we can do it, throughout the season. I think when Drew Brees beats the passing record, so I think that'll happen around the Redskins game. The Thanksgiving game versus the Falcons, us Saints fans, not like the Dirty Birds. So, we're going to go try out and break it there, I think. And then any playoff game, we could come and easily, beat that record in any playoff game, any big play. If we're going to the Super Bowl, that place is going to get very, very loud. So, but, and you're looking at, can we get the Dome field advantage back? I feel like we already have it back, after last year, we're really getting it back. You looked at, we were 7-1 last year in the Dome, only losing to the Patriots, which is, no shame in doing that. And so you really look at that, and I feel like we have it back. To me, I think we're going to go 8-0 next season, or 7-1, whatever it is. And I really feel like we got that Dome mojo back like we did in 2009, 2011, 2013, 2010, those years. I feel like we really got that back, and we got our identity as a really good home team back. But I feel like we'd also be really good on the road, too. So I feel like, we have a really good mix. Being really good at home and being really good on the road. I feel like that's a good skill to have to win on the road. I feel like we can do that. I feel like we're going to have an over 500 record on the road as well as being 8-0 at home. So I feel like this team, I really feel like they got an attitude that we're going to win anywhere, not just at home, which I feel like some teams in the past maybe got a little scared to play on the road. I feel like this team is not. It's like them against the world. And I feel like they really feel that and they really want to win this championship, for Drew and for them, for the Who Dat Nation, for the fans. So, I mean, I really do. I really think we're gonna break this record next season. I think we have a really good shot at it. So, And I really do think we have our Dome Mojo back. So thank you to Zoe for all those great questions. If any of you want to ask Saints questions, you can tweet us at the Who Dat Dis, or leave a comment down below, or you can email us at thewhodatdis@gmail.com. So with all that, I think it's time to wrap up this podcast. So if you enjoy me rambling on for about 30 minutes, you can follow us on Twitter and Podomatic at the Who Dat Dis. And on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you get updates on all new videos. I mean, every video should go out every Wednesday, and I think that's going to be our schedule for the rest of this off season. And then once the preseason and the regular games start, I think we're going to go to two podcasts a week. And also, I just wanted to say again that I really enjoyed all the feedback from the last episode, and overwhelmingly support from the Who Dat Nation. And I just gotta say, I love making the first two videos, and I can't wait to make more, and I can't wait to connect with more of the best fans of football in the Who Dat Nation. And I just want to say that for next week and upcoming weeks, if you want to suggest a top 5 or another position to break down for next season, you can tweet us, you can leave a comment down below, or you can email us at the whodatdis@gmail.com, as I said earlier. So with all of that, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and Who Dat?